This is White Tiger. I recommend watching this video at 2 times speed. Fibonacci, otherwise known as Leonardo of Pisa, wrote a book about his mathematical findings called Fibonacci, essentially going over the numerical sequence 1, 1, 2 and adding the previous 2 numbers together. This sequence is found all over nature, most notably the number of petals on flowers, but otherwise you can find it in spirals, snails, pineapples, fruit, beehives. Through this, you can do the sum of squares and create a spiral that comes out. So the sum of 1 is 1, the sum of 2 is 4, the sum of 3 is 9, and you can see that the sum of the squares creates a rectangle, and then the length and width of this rectangle, which are the previous 2 Fibonacci numbers, all create something called the golden ratio. Golden ratio can otherwise be notated as phi or half plus root 5 over 2. And this is found also all over nature, especially in humans. I wanted to point this out. I did not know this, but when women are most fertile, the length of their uterus to width ratio is about the golden ratio. And even our DNA is 34 angstroms against 21, which is close to the golden ratio, which are also Fibonacci numbers. Now, why the hell should you care? You should care because we can use this in the financial markets. Humans, like anything, are born of nature. We're built upon parameters of mathematics, including Fibonacci. Thus, we have neurological patterns, which must mimic some mathematical constraints and constants. Maybe in the next 100 years, neurology and the mysteries of the brain and math social science will help us find some definitive scientific proof. But for now, we just have analogies and pseudoscience pattern recognition. These constants are shown in mass human psychology and markets. Now we have a price chart here, and all this price chart is the Dow Jones. It's a reflection of buys and sells from every participant at a snapshot in time. And though 1 or 2 buy or sell orders may divert it from the mean, a macro view should show these parameters and the effect that nature has upon it. So going to the main financial market in the United States, we have the Dow Jones. And I have here outlined Fibonacci numbers. We have 34, 55, etc. from the beginning of where this shows on TradingView. And you can see the first high that was set in the 29 crash was itself close to a Fibonacci number. And the crash found support around 55, another Fibonacci number. And even as it progressed upwards to recover, you can see support and resistances all along Fibonacci numbers. Now you may ask, well, I don't care what happened 50 years ago. I care is what's going on right now. So let's zoom in on what the Dow is doing today. Now, if we look at the past current events, the Dow itself had a local top around 37,000 and a bottom, local bottom at a Fibonacci number. And if we take a Fibonacci retracement, you can see that it is even rejected at a golden ratio, this 0.382, twice. And typically what we call this is a loser's rally. So we have an A, B, and typically a C wave that would come down. Do not know where it will go. I need to do more analysis on this. Another thing to note, it may not be a loser's rally, but rather a descending megaphone pattern, which is quite bullish actually. It did break out of this pattern, and I can show that in a later video. But this is showing the use of Fibonacci, especially here in the largest macro market, which is the Dow Jones. If we look to ETH, you can see in the beginning of ETH, we turn on my fibs, it came down on a retracement towards the golden ratio and was supported off. We had support on this 786, and the first local high it found was a Fibonacci number, 21. Came down to another support, which was 8, and as we progress, 377, of course you see this 55, similar to the Dow Jones, and the first local top in 2017. Now, I would almost suspect that this portion does not count. That was probably the mean reversion off of the true Fibonacci number that I wanted to get to was 987. Came back down. You had a loser's rally. We can actually see if this loser's rally itself was a retracement onto a golden ratio. I have the magnet on, so it's a little frustrating, and you can see it was 763, right into that area, came down to 89, another Fibonacci number. Let's get rid of this. And as we've progressed, bounced off that twice during that COVID crash, and we see it basically found resistance around the Fibonacci 4181. And now we've found support again over 987, which was the previous resistance back in 2017. So that resistance has now turned into support. Let's see if it breaks. If it breaks, obviously, the next two numbers I would be looking at is 610 and 377. And I can go into another video more in detail of certain supports on ETH, just to give you an idea. Here's the parallel channel. Here's the liquidity zones that I would be looking at. This first zone, this Fibonacci zone, has been support, but maybe we come down into a lower zone. Now, lastly, I do want to talk about Songbird. If you don't know, my avatar is a fat tiger, which is one of the Songbird NFTs by a great project. Now, how the heck can you do Fibonacci retracement on something that just starts? If you go to BitTrue, you actually see the true top and bottom of Songbird when it was released. It was around 6.5 cents, and it went all the way up to 90 cents. So if you take that retracement, you can see once it broke the levels we were looking at. I looked at this first level, which proved to be a great resistance, and resistance again, and we've come up here and it's proving to be resistance again. This is a range, not financial advice, that I would be looking to accumulate for the next run, which would hopefully begin around the halving for Bitcoin in, I believe, March of 2024. But these are the certain levels that you would be looking at when you're doing Fibonacci retracements and analysis on any new tokens, especially new tokens that are coming out in the next couple of months and the next year in the midst of this bear market. Hope you had a awesome time with your feline friend, White Tiger. Don't forget to scratch the like button, leave a meow in the comments, and subscribe for more wild content.